Cup of Joe.
There we go.
Folks, happy 7/16 Day. We are bringing you a brand new episode of Trainwreck Tonight. We are live here at Studio D. We got myself, Degenerate Al, we got Ty B, we got Maniac, and every producer is in the building. Producer Burrs, J-Dubs, and DJ Supreme. Show sponsor, our good friends over at Wester. And we have a very special guest tonight in studio for his first ever time. He's a sports writer for the Times of Wayne County. He hosts the Dan Borrello Show. They call him the Jim Rome of Rochester.
No, they don't, Close. They don't call me Jim Rome of Rochester for no particular reason. But at the same time, this is brought to you by Slingbox. Slingbox. Watch anything you want from wherever you want with Slingbox. Jim Rome here. I got racehorses. I used to make fun of racehorses. Now I own a racehorse, and they win. Sorry, that's not me.
So we're not at Batavia Downs. He doesn't only write. He doesn't only host a podcast.
I can barely read.
He's also a life coach.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Did I ever tell you my first client committed suicide? I don't want to go down that road, but.
Oh my.
Now, when I left him,
before you can run.
When I left him, he was fine. He had a girlfriend. He was good. 6 months later, do you know what happened to Ben? I go, no. And the story continues.
If it's after the coaching, then you have your coach, in Little Loop growing up, but once you get after that season, those kids start offering you your first beer, you get on the marijuanas, and then that's a gateway drug. Yeah. So you got to get back to that coaching quick.
It was pretty unfortunate, but I mean, when he left me, he was okay. So I don't know what happened afterward, but I found that out like months later. But hey, I don't mean to start the show.
I was just gonna say,
you brought the life coaching thing.
I am absolutely rattled right now. But here at Trainwreck Sports, for new guests, we do a Trainwreck background check. And what do? We go to mylife.com. It's very simple. Your approximate reputation was a 4.0 out of 5.
Oh, great.
So you were in the green meter.
All right,
you were good.
Good.
Green meter.
So you were good to go.
I was in the red.
It's a free website. It's very easy to use. But you were on Degenerate Danger Zone. Follow at the Degenerate Zone on Twitter. What, a couple weeks? No, a week ago.
It was last week.
For the All-Star game.
Yeah, it was last week. We talked about the All-Star game.
We hit the under. And Tybee, what the hell's going on in New York State right now?
It's legal, but only at 4 casinos. They started taking action today. It was the first day, 7/16 day. Del Lago, 3 other casinos. Del Lago's the closest one here. We got to get there ASAP.
Maniac, tell us about Del Lago. How close is this place?
Well, Del Lago's kind of like Turning Stone South, as they call it. So, it's kind of heading down to the southern tier there of New York State. Oh, kind of central, but southern tier. But not a casino you would typically go to. But with that said, when you get a head start on sports gambling, you don't need to give any degenerates any more of an excuse.
No, it's like a drug.
Oh, yeah. And we already know Uncle Dan, likes to play, the poker a little bit. I hear he's been going to Del Lago playing there, so.
Great
poker
room there.
No.
I can't gamble to save my life. I'm better at betting games, and even that's
another Rochester Uncle Dan.
Oh, Danny F.
So are you a gambler at all?
When I'm in Vegas, yes. But it's the simple stuff like, blackjack, roulette, stuff that I don't have to think too much. But I do have the gene in there. I have to wean myself off. That's why I don't gamble much. Because my father used to say when I was growing up, Danny, you hand me the money, you're going to take me to the casino every day, and at the end of the week, I'll hand you $500 and you'll be a winner. So I'm like, okay, Dad, you're right. So that's
a good philosophy.
It is. See, my father wasn't a gambler, so I really wasn't a gambler. I don't know how to play cards, but I'll tell you what, though, I have nothing against it. I'd like to learn. I want to diversify my life. Yeah. And I think gambling might be a good way to do it.
Yeah, I was at the Queen of Heaven gambling tent the other day, playing some spinning roulette wheel with 3 cards and everything. I go down $40 down to my last 3 I'm gambling with, get back up, only down 9, and what do? Lose it all right back instead of walking away almost equal.
It's like a South Park episode where they needed $30 million to save South Park, and they won. They decided to let it ride, and then they lost.
Yeah. Put it all on black.
That was their money. That wasn't my money. That was their money.
I just got my check. I'm going to walk into the casino, put it all on black.
I mean,
that's the type of gambler I want to be.
Who wants a take your son or daughter to work day when you can have a take your son or daughter to the casino day? I mean, that sounds way better to me and a way better to overall bond.
Life lessons, life skills, life coaching at danborrello.com. It's not a website anymore.
So that's gone? You don't do that anymore?
I still help people who reach out to me, but I've only had a handful of people do it in the last couple of years. What happened was, when I was married, I wanted to start this business after I got out of radio the second time. And when I say got out, I mean pushed out. And so when I was doing that...
Like Brad Ryder.
So,
hey,
yeah.
it happens to the best of us. You can still be good if you pushed
Brad.
out of radio, just to be clear.
I love Brad. Brad's great. I love Trending Buffalo, what he's been able to do there. So the thing is that my psychologist friend goes, hey, Dan, I got some clients that, I want to charge more, but they can only afford so much. I can put them off on you. You can do it. It's just life coaching. You're not a psychologist. You don't need a license. Sure, I'll do it. Great. What do I tell them? Oh, just how to brush their teeth, how to put up their clothes, and have goals and dreams. Yeah, sure. It's like Tony Robbins.
So,
I'll just go to YouTube.
So it's just like being like a parent.
Right. Pretty much.
It's like being a parent.
But there was this one dude, and by the way, I can say this because he wasn't paying me. There was this one dude who had 3 master's degrees, but he was agoraphobic. And he couldn't I couldn't get him in an elevator, and we would do therapy where we go up to the elevator together. We go to the top of a building together. He couldn't do it. One time I'm driving around in my car because we had to get on 490. Out here you have 290, 190, 990. In Rochester, 3, 4, and 590. Yeah. And I'm taking him on 590. He literally grabbed the wheel. I go, no, don't touch my steering wheel. I mean, you couldn't talk. I told my buddy, dude, he needs psychological help. I can't life coach this guy from agoraphobia. So that was pretty much it.
So you're allowed to talk about your patient.
Oh yeah.
Wow,
This guy,
not licensed.
Right,
No.
I didn't say his name. Number 1, number 2. There was he didn't pay me a dime. If he had paid me,
then he's a client.
Right.
That is true.
So are you kind of like Dr. Melfi in Sopranos?
Yeah, I love that show. Greatest show ever. Greatest show ever. No, I'm not even close. She was beautiful and smart, and I just fell into it and fell out of it again.
And she had a ton of clients. Very frustrating when Tony wouldn't keep those appointments in season 2 and 3.
Right, exactly. You know what was funny? I always thought it would be cool, and HBO and Showtime would never do this, if they crossed over Ray Donovan with Dr. Melfi.
1,000,000%. There's so many crossovers.
Because he's in New York. I haven't seen the new season yet, but he's in New York. I think that would be the perfect person to talk to, and it'll be a nice irony for people who watch pay TV, but it won't happen. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to hijack the show.
No, you're good. So Dan, I want to get into your show a little bit yesterday.
Okay.
For the people that might have not tuned in, I thought you brought up an amazing point.
About Magic Johnson still being alive? Was that the one?
No.
That is amazing.
You did.
Nobody talks about this!
You did talk about Magic Johnson. You almost called him Michael Jackson.
I did. I know. I'm so sorry.
I'm
sorry, Magic.
I make mistakes like that all the time. But you talked about the no-hitter Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
And
Tyler Skaggs, yes.
And how MLB has dropped. They're currently in 3rd place underneath the NBA, the NFL, and how consistently
So it's like NFL and then NBA and then
it's deep down
baseball.
there. It's really bad, and how ESPN nowadays really doesn't give a crap about anything other than the NBA and NHL, and
they have
NHL,
baseball. That's the
NBA
thing.
and NFL,
Right.
and
And they have baseball. They broadcast the games.
Sunday night baseball,
Right.
Monday night
Monday night baseball.
And you're right. It's on consistently, and for something like that to happen on a Friday night, which is all the ironies you were talking about, how magical of a moment it was, and all the different numbers, like you're saying, like his birthday, the last Angels no-hitter, and it all lined up
remember that
perfectly.
game too. I remember. You guys might be a little young for that, but I remember Mark Langston and Mike Witt throwing that combined no-hitter. It's like, does that count?
Yep,
Does that count?
on the
That was
day-
the discussion. Does that
The
count?
day Tyler Skaggs was born.
Right.
That's
On the
it's
day he was
just-
born.
It's the most ironic, unbelievable. There's so many coincidences in that entire sequence. Like his birthday's the very next day after the game. It's 7-13. They scored 7 runs in the first inning, 13 runs total.
Yep.
His favorite place in the entire stadium was the Rocks, and Trout hits a home run there in his first inning. It's crazy. I popped some Benadryl, take my allergies, fell asleep, woke up, and saw that at 3 in the morning. Was like,
Right.
oh my God. I literally went, as soon as I saw it on my phone, I went directly out to the TV, put it on, and had to watch it immediately, and just had goosebumps for an hour.
And
It's
people were
crazy.
And people were still, the media were still, digging up little coincidences about that game. And my whole point yesterday was, it's one thing for ESPN to go hog wild on the NBA instead of baseball because they have the NFL, baseball, and the NBA. When Fox is doing it, and they have baseball and not the NBA, baseball, you have a problem. And you gotta market your sport better. And that was you get more magical moments and ironic moments in baseball than any other sport. You can't have a no-hitter in baseball, in football or basketball. You say, well, no kidding, man, they don't hit a ball. No, what I mean by that is like you get a shutout. Great. You get a quarterback throws for 600 yards. It can happen nowadays. Okay, awesome. Is that a perfect game? No, it's not. It's not a perfect game and no-hitter. Those are special moments. And on top of it, all the Tyler Skaggs stuff that happened.
Yeah.
And what does baseball, what does everybody do?
And you have,
drops the ball on it.
And you have arguably the best player in all of Major League Baseball at the center of it.
Right.
Mike Trout with 6 RBIs.
Who nobody recognizes.
Yeah, like you see him in maybe like 1-2 commercials throughout the entire year.
Right.
He's not a recognizable face.
No.
That guy should be on billboards throughout the entire country, and he's not. And that's where the MLB's failing. But it was nice to see like ESPN went to the live cut-in like that night. Some of my buddies were at the bar watching, sending me Snapchats. That's how I first saw it when I woke up, and like for them to do that, like that was just reminiscent to me of when they're cutting back to Bonds, like breaking the records. There's just no moments like that in baseball really anymore. Those records aren't being broke. No one's on these crazy milestone chases. You don't have those big things, but you also don't have those big personalities, those big names to grasp on.
Yeah, I remember being in the bar when Bonds broke those records, and we all know how he did it, right? And
by hitting dingers.
And I remember watching it at the bar, 22, 23 years old, and I didn't even care that he was doing it because of the way he went about it, but at the same time, baseball found you.
Yeah. It was a captivating moment.
It's not finding you anymore.
No.
Unless the Cubs are involved, unless the Yankees are involved, or the Red Sox are involved. Even a moment like Friday night is not finding you anymore, and baseball's got a problem. When in 14, when Derek Jeter retired, and everybody, it's one of those moments I wish I could have had with my dad because he was gone at that point. But when they said, now who's going to be the next face of baseball? And I'm like, there's your problem right there. Derek Jeter should not be, at his age, the face of baseball.
At that point, no doubt.
No, he shouldn't have been playing shortstop or hitting second. But I digress. I don't mean to yell. I get a little excited, as you can tell. But, I mean, that's when you knew, okay, we have a problem with baseball.
Yeah.
You had the Kansas City Royals go from 0 to World Series, and they're going up against a team
not a big story.
that was going for like I call it a Spurs dynasty when you win every other year.
Yeah, they were killing it in the early 2010s.
And the Giants were doing well, and baseball's
every
just like,
year.
and everybody's like, yeah, whatever. Okay, it's week 7 in the NFL. Who you got? I mean, baseball. You got a problem. Wake up. Wake up, fellas. And I think there's ways to fix it, but I don't know if people want to do it.
So real quick, what are the ways to fix that?
I would go to a 7-inning game for starters, okay? I mean, think about basketball, whether it's college or the NBA. Think about this. An NBA game is maybe 2 hours and 20 minutes. A college basketball game is an hour and a half. You don't have to dedicate that much time to it. You don't. But baseball, it's like, especially in the playoffs, it's like, Joe Buck, we're approaching 3.5 hours here at Chavez Ravine. 2-2 Red Sox and Dodgers, bottom of the 4th. I mean, it's like, everybody kills Joe Buck. I don't think Joe Buck's bad at all. I think he's great. But forget Joe Buck for a second. This is baseball. This is the state of baseball. Analytics have hurt. I mean, they've made the game more efficient. Don't get me wrong, but don't give me analytics out of 10. Give me analytics on a scale of 1 to 10. Give me analytics out of 7. Give me some hit and runs. I'm not a big fan of the bunt, but when it calls for it, it's okay to do it. Get rid of the damn shift. Go to 7-inning games. Enough of this opener. We have the opener pitching. Then we're going to have the starter pitch. Then we're going to throw in a left-handed reliever. Then a right-hand. Enough. Enough with it. Also, and this is a crazy idea that nobody likes. I'm not that one person who likes it. Look, baseball makes news when guys get hit by a pitch and charge the mound. So this won't fix it, but it'll make the game more interesting. Go to 10-man lineups. The pitcher and the designator both hit in both leagues. The designated hitter. So now, so now the pitcher's going to hit in both. So if you're throwing somebody, you better expect to get thrown at again yourself. Okay?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you still maintain your offense because you have a designated hitter also hitting in the lineup.
But it's also like a built-in out kind of.
It is, but now it's going to teach maybe 20 years from now generations of kids. Because National League
kids got to come up and continue.
Yeah, because once they get to high school or when they start playing in travel leagues and showcase leagues, you're pitching? All right, you're not hitting. And so they forget how to hit. I mean, think about it. When you were going to school, and I don't mean to hijack the show, when you were going to school, when you played baseball, your best athletes hit home runs and also pitched.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah,
so now if you force them at a young age, because the National League's the only league where they're hitting, and I don't think in the minors, I don't think the pitchers hit. It depends on the league. I don't know how it works. I know in college they don't. So that's why Shohei Ohtani was so special, But at the end of the day, if a generation from now you make your pitchers hit, guess what? They're going to be hitting and coming up and hitting, and now they're going to be a threat in the lineup. That's all.
I'm with you on the 7-inning games. I mean, I think that would greatly speed up and add appeal to the league. I think baseball traditionalists would hate it.
Screw them.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys, I was a traditionalist for 38 years. Okay, you got to break a few rules here, fellas.
Yeah.
I'm not saying lower the mound. I'm not saying...
Where are you on robo-umps?
I hate it.
20,000 missed strike calls last year in the MLB.
How many?
20,000.
Yeah, did you just see the high call though in the game in the
Atlantic League?
testing it? It was literally shoulder high, and they just called a strikeout.
All I'm at on the
there's
strike.
gonna be errors either way.
On the strike calls, 30-second spiel.
But you
I
just
think
get
that there
how
needs to
quick
be
it
a
was?
2-inch zone outside of the plate, and if it's outside there and it's called a ball, you should be able to review it.
If there's any
Or,
black...
sorry, if it's called a strike.
If there's any black, it should be a strike. If it's a sliver of black, it should be a strike.
Most definitely.
If it's in if it's in between the waist and the knees, okay. Obviously, the shoulders are not a thing anymore. But I mean, I'm not a big fan of RoboCop umpires or anything.
RoboCop.
That would be awesome.
That is a strike. Maybe that was Schwarzenegger. I don't know. Maybe that was Terminator umpire. I don't know. But,
Gotta ask all you guys though about this.
Yeah.
Do you think it has to do with social media, technology, cell phones, just all kids our age? So I'm 28.
Mm-hmm.
I know most of my friends in my 20s that live in Buffalo don't like baseball. They don't like baseball.
No.
They don't give a shit. I just feel like
And they played it, right?
A
a lot of kids did.
Yeah.
But they don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
Was
So
it
I'm
tight?
just talking like a lot of kids
Was it
nowadays
tight?
who have like millennials, no attention spans. All we have cell phones and we're just looking at our phones. I don't think these people that are growing up nowadays can sit down and watch a baseball game for 3 hours.
No.
I don't think they give two shits about, like you said, there's obviously families and people growing up, right?
So
Let's go ahead.
my buddy was umping a game the other day. It was a blowout, like 30-4, and the one kid goes to him, "Why do we still have to be here? I know there's no mercy rule, but like it's 30-4. Like I want to go home. I want to go swimming. I want to go do other things."
Yeah.
And that's how kids are. Like they're ingrained for that. You have so many advantages now as a kid. Like you have all this technology that we've never had, and you always have things to do. Just think about when you were bored as a kid. You had to go like roll around in the backyard pretending to be army rangers or something. Like
I used to
any
act like
random
a
thing.
lion and stuff.
like any random thing. And nowadays, like you just go and you play with your little pet on your Nintendo, or like do whatever
I'm just
you
saying,
wanna
like
do.
social media, cell phones, technology have changed the landscape of sports in general. And even think of NFL and NBA, Twitters and Instagrams. Hell of a lot more fun than MLB.
Oh, yeah.
You don't.
Great
you
point.
don't-
I don't
You
even
don't
wanna
see.
be
You don't
seen
see
on
Mike
MLB
Trout putting stuff up that's like ridiculous, and like NBA off seasons and their Twitters and Instagram,
active.
and NFL too.
They're
Like they're
active.
just exactly.
They're out there.
It's changing, and the people that are on these social media sites are dominating sports, and that's NBA and NFL.
I think, and you could attest to this because you were an intern with the Newark Pilots, newarkpilots.com. You've watched baseball kids grow up at a certain point. Used to be you played Little League, you played Babe Ruth, you played JV, you played high school. Then somewhere along the line in the 90s, these parents got these ideas. My kid's awesome. I'm going to put him in a travel league. We're going to pay $1,000 a year. Damn it, they're going to play. That manager be damned. And all of a sudden, you got these kids who felt entitled to go out and play because mom and daddy said so, and they're spending the money. So what happens is they join these leagues and they get very cliquey. AAU basketball can be the same way, but at least those guys also, it's different with basketball. Basketball appeals around the world, as does baseball, but basketball, let's put it this way. This is the best way I could say it. Basketball players always got chicks. More chicks than any other sport per person. Baseball, you're out in the field, you're traveling on a bus, you wear a helmet, you wear a glove, your uniform kind of looks weird, you're not showing off your muscles necessarily, chicks ain't digging that, so guys are pretty much together on the bus traveling, and you build up this culture where I only got my buddies, I don't need anybody else.
Yeah.
And suddenly I don't need the rest of the world, I got my baseball team. Well, that's great, so when you get to the pros,
Yeah, most.
I gotta build my brand. How? I don't know.
That's part of it. Most of these
I don't have
guys
the personality
don't
to do
have.
it.
They don't have that presence. They don't have the ability to build it.
Right.
They're taught like they get to college. They're not trying to build them on social media. They don't. If they could have them completely off of it,
Right.
they would. So most of these guys, rarely even use it. For the most part, they're just like retweeting things from their baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys are in their isolated little bubbles. Everyone's just been telling them, throughout their careers, hey, you got a chance, maybe.
You're great.
So then you got like D3 kids who like still think they're gonna make it. It happens every once in a while, but like you have these guys with these crazy dreams who just have families with a lot of money and have no shot.
Right.
And they're in that same like bubble as the guys who have the shot. Like
Right.
they're in these same little cliques where they don't get out. They don't put themselves out there. They don't show off. Like what Maniac has been doing with the women's hoops team, like being able to bring out their personalities. Like you see that they're people and they have these things outside of the game they like. Whereas in baseball, like it's the opposite. Unless you go look at foul pole sports, that's where like the one spot you'll see them, being themselves, and they even sort of get in trouble for that type of stuff. Like you see guys in the summer league, people carrying them in on wagons out of the bullpen and stuff. These guys don't want to be playing baseball 1,000 games a year, and they're playing 300, 400, 500 games a year. Some of these kids, it's
Right.
unbelievable.
And then they get to the pros, and all of a sudden, I'm 24. I need Tommy John surgery. Why? Because I've been throwing 600 innings a week since I was 12. I mean, my buddy Brad Davies. Brad Davies got me into sports radio. He's one of the best sports talk show hosts I've ever heard. He got out of the business, got into real estate. They begged him to come back in Houston, Texas. He said no multiple times. His kid's 10. At the age of 8, they told him, if your son wants to play high school baseball, son, he needs to get into a travel league. He was 8!
Yeah.
That's baseball. That's the direction baseball's going. We need to fix it at the youth level as well. I don't watch the Little League World Series. I don't. I hate it.
Privatized everything.
Because now it's some group of fortunate kids because they played in a big city with a huge. It's like little towns like Cheektowaga, Buffalo, Silver Creek, New York. We're not going to the Little League World Series. We're not even have a district, for crying out loud. I mean, it's just we've made baseball just so. Whereas football, hey, look. You get in 9th grade, you play JV, it's Monday night or Friday night, college is Saturday, NFL is Sunday. It's 1 day a week, it's free because you play through the school. You don't have to join a league, you can just sign up, and if you're good, you play, and the best play. Period. There's no misunderstanding any of this stuff. You can tell good by watching it. Baseball, basketball, it's always, we give them the right league, give them the right showcase, give them a scholarship. It's all
Get them on
BS.
Team New Era.
Stop lying to your kid, you're not doing any favors. I'm sorry.
All right, let's talk about your National Brand Association.
Okay.
Okay?
Oh, the NBA.
So, yeah.
I thought you meant the podcast. Which,
well,
no, I'm just joking.
No.
I'm totally kidding.
No. Seriously, the NBA, it's the League of Duos this year.
The clip show, baby.
And Kawhi Leonard single-handedly saved the NBA this
He
year.
did.
By going to the Clippers and not going to the Lakers.
Yeah.
Because if he went to the Lakers, the whole season was a wash.
Someone did a rundown. He's been saving the NBA for like 6 to 7 years now. He stopped the Heat dynasty.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
He
Yes.
kept the Spurs from becoming their own dynasty. He went to the Raptors, got them their championship, and now he's going to the Clippers, which is like literally what,
He's the
when
dynasty killer.
everyone showed up at the end of Avengers Endgame when there was actually hope. That's like Kawhi going to the Clippers right
Oh,
now.
I missed that.
Do you think he had any...
Spoiler alert.
Do you think he ever wanted to go to the Lakers at all?
I mean, maybe. Why wouldn't he have?
I
mean, it would have been an easier route for sure, but along the way,
True,
you have
maybe
to
he doesn't
find
want
the
that.
challenge. For sure.
Nobody really knows what Kawhi is thinking, and there's a ton of NBA sports writers who completely swung and missed
thought
that.
they knew. They all thought they knew.
Well, here's the thing.
Chris Broussard.
One second on that.
Broussard.
1 second on Broussard, though. I got to say this about Broussard, though. All those guys threw stuff out
shoot your
there.
shot.
All those guys threw stuff out there because they had to. They didn't have a choice.
Oh,
We want coverage. We need more coverage. 24 hours.
He was
I need that
very
file.
adamant. He was adamant.
The only
that he had
thing-
connections there.
The only thing the internet will kill you more for a wrong take is an in-between take.
Yeah, you got
That's
to
what I'm saying
either
right
be
now.
hot
You gotta
or
be one
cold.
way. If you're
can't
both
go-
ways, they'll be like, "Oh, great job, flip-flopper."
Now, Broussard, and I love Broussard. Broussard and Stephen A. Smith were the first guys to call LeBron going to the Heat. They called it about a week before it happened, and then Broussard confirmed it. But then during the decision, if you remember, Broussard hinged and said, "I don't know. He could go back to Cleveland. I don't know. He could have changed his mind," which is true. But you don't say, "No, he's going to the Heat."
No,
and if you're
there's
wrong, you
no-
eat it. It's okay. Colin Cowherd says every time I'm wrong, I'll admit it. Because people have to watch you eat it. But the thing is, everybody was wrong about Kawhi Leonard. And the reason? Magic Johnson opened his mouth and had to tell the LA Times, "Yeah, so we're meeting, and everything's going to work out, and we'll see what happens." All he had to do was just keep his mouth shut.
One person was right, and that was me.
No,
I said
congratulations.
the entire time Kawhi was going to my clip show. It's going to be fabulous to watch. I can't wait until they make the Lakers just eat the dirt outside the Staples Center. It's going to be the Clippers arena. It's going to be the Clippers city. Me and Marcellus Wiley are going to be going crazy in LA celebrating a championship next spring, and I cannot wait.
I love Marcellus Wiley. I think he's great on FS1. I disagree, fellas. I think now you're going to get the idea of parity because now the NBA offseason, let's be honest, is bigger than the season.
Yep.
Which is another problem. Like I
NBA
said,
offseason is bigger
Think
than the
about what
Major
the
League Baseball
Jazz did,
season.
and
Right,
no one
right.
has even talked about it.
Remember, but the thing is, LeBron James is the tide that's rising all the boats right now. Don't kid yourself. He's chasing Jordan. America's watching the NBA to watch watch LeBron chase Jordan. So this was, regardless if it was Kawhi or whether it was Kevin Durant, at the end of the day, LeBron was the guy behind the curtain. He wasn't pulling the strings, but he's the guy everybody expects to pull the strings. So here's what happened. So now instead of the dynasty with Kawhi going to the Lakers, now you got Kawhi going to the Clippers. So now instead of a three-pronged approach, a super team, which the NBA has had for years, the big three in Boston, LA, wherever, now you have a situation where now there's 5 or 6 duos. So now the pressure's really on LeBron, and people will tune in the first week of the season. Then they'll stop watching until maybe the second round of the playoffs. They will, because the NBA, look at the ratings. Without LeBron, especially when he's on the West Coast, ratings dip. It's the national, not only the National
That's
true.
true.
Association.
That's a great point.
It's the
They
National
didn't-
Braun
they didn't
Association.
dip-
We're
they didn't
waiting
dip
for
that
this
much
dude.
last year.
I can say right
it's
now,
the
I didn't
tip.
watch one Lakers game beginning to end last year. I'm just saying
Right.
it right now. Did you?
No.
Well, I mean,
No.
there was no
But the
appeal,
numbers
even from the
across-
start of the year.
There's
Even
no
from the start of the
urgency.
year.
There's no urgency in the NBA. 16 teams make the playoffs,
See,
and of the 16, only a handful
But
of a shot at winning it all.
a small dip in their numbers over like an exponential increase. You're going up exponentially
Right,
year over
trees
year.
don't grow to the
and
sky.
You get one little blip. That's absolutely nothing to
but-
their numbers.
but-
They got that television number. They're getting all these people. They have more engagement than any other league pretty much right now on Twitter, on social media.
But
they're
they're
doing
chasing
the right things.
They're chasing whom though?